This is Tony Manalatis, baseball dad and PR guy. You sports parents, we all spend a lot of time thinking about development, lessons, coaching, competition, opportunities. But the mental side of the game, the pressure that kids feel, the nerves and the environment around them that adults create, that doesn't get talked about as much. Dave Austin is a mental performance coach who has spent decades helping athletes perform under pressure. He has worked with players like Bobby Witt Jr., plays for the Royals. I think this is just so cool. Max Muncy, who plays for the Dodgers. We'll forgive Dave for that since I'm a
No,
Padres.
hey, you know what? Can I interrupt? This is
Yeah.
really interesting. I didn't know this. There's two Muncies.
Oh,
Same spelling, everything. So you got Max Muncy playing for the Dodgers,
right.
and now the starting third baseman for the A's is Max Muncy.
And that's your client, both of them?
No, just the
Just
one.
the
Just the
one,
one.
the Dodger,
No, no, the Athletics.
the Athletics. Thank
So
you.
it's really funny. I was confused at first, you
Yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah. Same spelling and everything.
everything. And they didn't even know each other until they played each other last year. And it's really pretty funny.
That's cool. Um, all right.
Dan Langler is the hottest hitter in baseball right now. So that's another one of my clients. So there you have it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Max Muncy with the A's, and others competing at the highest levels of baseball, football, and other sports. Today we're going to talk to Dave about what kids are dealing with out there and how parents and coaches can either help them or make it harder. We're also going to go back in time a little bit to Dave's time as a Little League manager, because that's where a lot of this really shows up for us parents. That's where it starts to show up in Little League. The pressure, the politics, daddy ball, and we'll even get into the championship run that he enjoyed with his son. Dave is joining us from Atlanta, where he's traveling with the Oakland A's because, as he just mentioned, some of his clients play for the A's. Dave, first, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here because what you're doing is needed. And I appreciate that because families, is there any rule books to tell you how to be a parent in sports? Not a whole lot. So what you're doing is so crucial because I've been through it. I have four boys that all went through Little League Baseball. Yes, I manage them. Now I'm very, involved in the major leagues. I've had Cy Young winners, I've had winners batting titles, I have MVPs, I've worked with the rookie of the year, you name it. But I've been through the whole gamut and some great college players. So I've seen it all, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, wealth of
But what
experience.
but
And
what you're doing is very, very important for families to hear. This is crucial information.
thank you. And so, yeah, I was going to ask you, could you give us a quick overview of your background, which you started to do, and how to tell us how you got into mental performance coaching, and who are some of the athletes you're working with now, and what that work looks like.
Okay. It's funny. I got involved in this where I decided my life would be devoted to it when I played Little League Baseball. That's a true story. My dad was in the Navy. He was a Navy chaplain, and we moved every 2 or 3 years. And I just happened to be a really gifted player. But I found, and football, mainly football is where you really get the different kind of personalities. But same thing in baseball. I found that when I was in a good environment and healthy environment, positive environment, I was the superstar. I did everything. And then when we moved, and I maybe had a coach that was very negative and thought, you got to do this, you got to do that. I was very mediocre and I didn't understand it as a kid. Why am I good here, but I'm not good there? What's the difference?
Right, the field's dimensions, everything the same. What changed was the coach, right? That was
Yeah.
it. That
And
was the
it wasn't until later on, I just really wanted to study it. Like, and I realized I let the coaches tell me who I was instead of telling them who I was, finding that. And it's very hard as a kid to realize that. So
right.
you get very like overwhelmed by, oh, I'm no good because you're just in a bad environment. And so at least if when you know that, hey, I'm going to play. I'm here. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna bring my joy to it. I mean, that's something kids need to know because
So when you were a kid, something clicked in you. You knew back when you were, sounds like 10, 11, 12, that I want to help. I want to help athletes someday because I know when I'm in an environment where I like my coach and I'm clicking with my coach, I'm an all-star. And then the next season when my dad, when we move and I'm with a coach I don't click with, I'm just a mediocre player.
That's an absolute true statement. And I made a choice. I said, when I grow up someday, I'm going to be a good, positive coach. So, I went to college on a football, baseball scholarship, and then I got in a horrendous car accident. And so I was never going to walk again, possibly between my freshman and sophomore year in college. I was the starting shortstop and the starting quarterback. So I was a gifted athlete, but all of a sudden, I almost lost my life. But I just, sports played such a big role in my life that I really worked to come back. And I transferred to San Diego State, but was playing tennis to rehabilitate myself. And I went and was a walk-on in tennis. And I'm so competitive. And went on to actually have a really, at first, I didn't make the starting six. I was a walk-on, but then the next year I got a scholarship. I think someone told me one time one of the winningest records at San Diego State, and I went on to play on the world tour and gain a world ranking, and
Yeah,
learn.
all that from getting into a sport where you wanted to rehab so you could get back at playing baseball and football. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So that's probably why, and I understand baseball so well and the mental part of it. But tennis, you're out there by yourself. And sometimes I can remember playing in Helsinki, Finland, and losing a match and, 7-6 in the third and feeling so defeated and walking out in the rain and just walking the streets like, oh, so I've been through it all as an athlete, as a now many years as a coach, but I even went back and I played in the Senior World Series of baseball. I had a friend that played college baseball, was a standout, and he asked, "Man, would you join the team?" And I got excited. So even after my tennis career, I was a shortstop. I'm out there. It was a ball, and now I had a different mindset, and
Sure,
it
sure,
was
yeah,
it was
yeah.
just a lot of fun to play again.
And I'm sure all that experience comes in handy, and you draw from it. And these athletes, these elite athletes who hire you now, can you name drop a couple of them? I did earlier, but who's a couple of some of the athletes some of the ball players you're working with now? And I want to press you a little bit here. Give us, I know you got a lot of good stories, but give us one good story. You don't have to name the athlete, but about a professional athlete who is struggling with his nerves, struggling with pressure, and how you help him overcome that.
Well, and he doesn't mind me telling this story. I'll tell you his name because I was working with many of the A's, and he's the catcher I mentioned, Shea Langler. I started working with him his sophomore year in college, and I got a call from uh, Bobby Witt Jr.'s dad, who was an agent, and he played 16 years in the majors and was a great pitcher. And Bobby Witt always sent me players when he needed, because players don't understand how tough it is, the pressure wise, when you get up there. So you got to learn how to deal with all that. So
Sure, sure.
um, anyway, he called me and said, "This guy's going to be the best catcher in baseball, but he's ready to quit. Can you talk to him?"
He was a sophomore in college at the time.
Sophomore in college. And so yeah, I'm going to give you two stories, both sophomores in college, because I just told Max Muncy today, because he rooms with Nick Kurtz, who was a rookie of the year. He's struggling right now to get things rolling.
Oh,
And I
Kurtz
told him
or
to make
Muncie?
sure that Nick
Who's
will
struggling, Kurtz or Muncie? I'm sorry.
Kurtz,
Okay.
Kurtz. Muncy's doing great.
Yeah.
And I said, just make sure he gets a hold of me. We need to work because I've seen this over and over again, the sophomore year.
Slump. The
Had
sophomore slump. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. We all
that happens, and he was rookie of the year phenomenon, but now he's got to come back. When I worked with Bobby Witt Jr., he had the sophomore slump. I mean, it's a funny thing, but so I've had I'm going to give you two stories
yeah.
of sophomores in college. Well, one is Shea, and you know, so I talked to his dad first, and his dad said, "Yeah, please talk to my son."
Where was
So
this at? What college? What
he
school?
played for Baylor.
Okay.
So he was just an all-world baseball player that was ready to quit because he was hitting like one something and he just couldn't handle it. And we talked, and I told him about some of the stories of the players that I've worked with and how they had been just as bad. See, a lot of players think, well, it's only me that has these nerves. It's only me that have the doubts. Everyone does. Trust me. I've worked with MVPs. I've worked with Cy Young players. Everyone has the same thing.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of working through it. And so we did, and he just latched on, and we hit it off, and he, went on to uh, just really changed everything. Got excited about the game day. He started game, all of a sudden he started having fun again. In Little League, you want to build fun. And
Yeah.
then even when you get to the majors, if you've never learned how to have fun, you don't know how to then pick it up now.
And he
So
was so frustrated. He wanted to quit. He was on the verge of quitting when
yeah, on the verge of quitting. And
and then how did you, I mean, it's probably a longer story than we have time for, but how did you help him find his joy and his confidence again?
I went back to why did you remember Little League Baseball?
Yeah, you,
What did you start? Why did you even start playing? Why would you even play this game? He says, well, it was fun. I like this and this. I said, well, let's get back to that. Let's go back to the roots of why you even started this playing this game. And then I have a technique that I use. It's called a game ready that changes players into being able to be what we call the zone or the flow state. I'll tell more about that in a moment, but let's go with the story. I mean, instantly he changed. That year he made Team USA. He led Team USA in hitting. It was amazing. Then his junior year, he then hit over 300, and then his their first round of playoffs in the NCAA playoffs,
right.
um, he hit 3 home runs, 2 doubles with bases loaded, and drove in 11 runs, an all-time NCAA record. And so it really
Wow, you got to be pretty proud of him, I'm sure.
And then he was a first
I'm,
round draft.
I'm writing down zone and flow state so we can come back to that. So
Yeah,
then,
I'll tell you how we get there. But he was a first round draft pick, and everything was roses. And there's more to this story, but I'll then talk about Brad Boy for a moment. When you come back to it, we'll talk about Shea, where he went after he became a first round draft choice, because
sure.
it all changed for a while. He's now back to I was getting on the plane to come here 2 days ago, and I got to the airport early, and I was watching the pregame and then the game, and they said, the hottest hitter in all Major League Baseball, better than all the, Judge, anybody, the best stats is Shea Langler since the All-Star break of last year. And so it's really quite amazing. And his first opening game against Toronto, he hit 2 home runs. They only had 3 hits. All 3 were Shea's. The next day, he hit a grand slam. He's just continuing on. He had an 0 for 4 night last night, but we'll talk about that maybe in a moment too, how you deal with that. But anyway,
The second story you were going to tell me.
the second story I'm going to go to, and then we'll come back, is Brad Boyer. He was playing for University of Arizona, All-American his freshman year. Sophomore year, he was ready to quit baseball. He's so frustrated, and he's sitting on the bench, and he's not getting to play. And when his dad called me, it's usually, and I talked to him, and I said, so Brad, do you still get to have, like, in the pregame, do you still get to take grounders? He was a third baseman. He goes, well, yeah. I said, do you still get to take batting practice? He goes, yeah. So why don't you make that your game? Why don't you become the best pregame baseball player? Whether you play in the game or not, doesn't matter. You have a blast being the very best.
Mm.
And so he did that. And then I said, what else do you do? He says, well, I have to do the scoring thing in the dugout. I said, why don't you just become the best who's ever done it?
I love that. Right.
Put that into it so that, it's just in his head to be the best at whatever he does. So he started having joy, and they make the playoffs, and he's still on the bench, but he comes in, pinch hits, and gets a base hit. All of a sudden, they weren't planning to be able to get to the World Series. Well, what happened is in the series, just to make it to the College World Series, the other third baseman breaks his finger or something, so he gets thrown in. Well, guess who wins the game and gets them to the World Series? And guess what he hits in the World Series?
A home run, a walk off.
No, he
hit the
average something average wise, and he's the breakout star College World Series because we got him mentally in the right place.
Yeah.
And he again after a game came up and said, "Hey, what did you do? What is the difference? What is the difference?"
This was his dad.
I knew he was looking. He's looking at the camera, and I know he's looking straight at me. He knows I'm watching, and he goes, because this became his theme. He looks at me and goes, "Seize the moment." and then walked away. And they're going, but tell us more. And he just walked away. Seize the moment is
Oh,
all he,
so that was a report. That was a reporter
yeah.
asking him that question, and he looked right to the camera, and you knew that message was for you because you guys
Oh,
said,
yeah.
"That's so cool. I love that." So where's he now? Where's he playing ball?
He played for the Giants, but he's retired now.
Okay.
I haven't been doing this a long time. He's now a batting coach for some of the top um, major league stars. But it's so funny because even though I coached him for so many years and helped him mentally, when he has a ball player, he always calls me and goes, "Dave, he needs your help."
Yeah, I love that. I
But
love that.
he's become a real well-known hitting coach in Major League Baseball.
So you mentioned those are both fantastic stories. I want to pick up one piece because I got a ton of questions that I want to get to. But you had talked about going 0 for 4, and your client went 0 for 4 just last night, right? Langler, right? We've all been there, right? Personally, our kids, I wrote an essay recently about my son going 0 for 6, and I didn't handle it well during that car ride home. So what do you tell a player who's just gone 0 for 4 if you tell them anything? And then what should a parent tell their son who has just gone 0 for 4 or 0 for 6?
So I'm a big believer that what you focus on will expand. So why not expand on the good things? You know, what you feed will grow, what you starve will die. So with all the players that I work with, we'll talk about how to get them to the game ready. But there's three intentions they focus on. They have 100% control over that. But after the game, doesn't have to be right after the game, but they've got to text me 3 wins of the game. So they've gone 0 for 5. I don't care. I have, Bobby Witt Jr. Here's who
So
won the battle after we worked. But before that, on 0 for 5 night, I get my parents were in the stands. I oh shoot, I should probably just pull them up. It's pretty interesting. Sometimes you have to dig deep when it's
to
over 5.
find those wins,
But
right?
you find those wins. I'm healthy. I mean, you find whatever it is.
Right, right,
I'm playing baseball,
right,
and so
right.
you always
So
you
they
always
so they're required. Even Bobby Witt Jr., who we just saw
right.
in the World Baseball Classic, he is one of your clients. All of these guys, you make them as part of this process. They have to text you 3 wins, no matter what happened that night, right?
That's right.
That's awesome because
Yeah,
you focus on the wins, right? And you build from
right.
there. Is that the idea?
What do you want to expand on? What do you want to grow? What do you want to grow? And so you're
And
keeping the
there's
fun.
always something positive, right? Is that the lesson too,
Right.
Dave?
So I had breakfast this morning and yesterday with Mark Kotze, who's the manager of the A's, and he's picking my brain. He was a great ball player. You look at what he did,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I really was excited to meet with him because on the telecast I was watching before I got on the plane, the announcer said, Shea Langler, Mark Kotze said he's never in all his experiences seen a player stay consistent like he has since the All-Star break. What in the world has he done? Because most players are like this,
Right,
right? And
right.
he's been like this. And so I was like, I can't wait to tell him, and I'm excited. You're going to get the inside information too. And
So he's
like
picking your
let's
brain
let's go
at
back to
breakfast.
the 0 for 4, right? So what were his wins from last night? I'll tell you what his wins from last night. Well, even though he struck out the first 2 times at bat, and he said the guy was really throwing well. He was really throwing well. And I said, so, but you don't quit. You don't get this. He's learned how to stay strong. So the third at bat, I mean, he roped it. I mean, he just squared it up. Just happened to be a line shot that
Right to the guy.
left fielder caught it. And then the last time it played, so he's staying present rather than, oh, what happened here?
Right,
When
right.
you carry that baggage with you, it makes it so much harder to hit. And so the fourth time at bat, I mean, he roped a ball in between third and second on a grounder. And the infielder, who's a very good shortstop, they have a very quick shortstop. He got over, and it's amazing he got to it, but it dropped out of his glove. Now, I'll tell you what, Shea would have beat it out, but because it dropped out of his glove, They called it an
They
error.
called it an error, not an infield
So,
single, huh?
right. It should have been an infield single, but it wasn't. So he went 0 for 4.
And
So
so what were
you
the
know
four
what
wins? What did he text you?
well, the wins are that, hey, I stayed strong, I stayed consistent, I hit the ball hard the last 2 times,
Love it.
and he threw out a guy that, oh my gosh, I saw the guy take the jump, and I'm going, oh, he stole it on the pitcher, poor Shea. Came out of his hand, and that ball was down there, the second baseman, so fast, and that was an important part of the game. That
Right, right.
sometimes we let the hitting get in the way of then
All the
carrying
other
the field. Now I'm not playing. He doesn't let anything do that. So he's like, I played a great defensive game, right? So there's always something you can look at.
So what did you tell the manager when he said, how do you do this? How do you help him be so consistent?
It's the game ready that I was years ago, over 20 years ago, I was asked to work with the U.S. Olympic team, and we're flying to the World Cup. And over the Atlantic, I go, God, I want something more. I couldn't understand how sometimes I could just feel so good. The ball seemed so big, everything seemed so simple, but then it would go away. And I didn't understand. I said, there's got to be a way that we can manufacture that so we can get into that place.
That zone.
Yeah, that zone, call it the flow state, whatever. And
Right.
so on the plane, I'm telling you, it was just God speaking to me. At least that's the way that's my faith has it. And I just
Sure,
wrote
sure.
notes from what I got. And so, and maybe we'll do if you want at the end of this, a game ready. So they actually experience a game
Yeah, I'd
ready.
love that. Yeah.
So I go, wow. So I get we were playing in Scotland, and I do a game ready for the team before every match. We had the best results in the history of the sport. So I
But,
came back.
but what was so what did you pick up from the Lord above? What was the
How
message?
to get all those distractions away. No matter if a coach is yelling at you, whether fans are, or even your parents yelling at you, how to stay present and just focus on the things that matter. It's so
Got
easy. We have over 65,000 thoughts. You can imagine how much is coming at you when you're under pressure. And it's a whole little routine I do. And it was
So,
so
so you
remarkable.
that came to you on the plane when you were thinking about, hey, why we feel like the game is in slow motion and the ball looks like a beach ball sometimes, and then other times we feel like everything's so fast and the ball's coming at me, it's a terrible
Exactly.
swing. And what's the difference? And you're saying what really came down to for you was be present, block everything out, focus on what's important. And so that's part of this game ready routine that you started there in the Olympics. And
Right.
you,
So listen to this, and I'll tell you, it would give you more examples of it, but I came back and when I coached Little League Baseball, I have 4 boys, so I coached a lot of Little League
yeah,
Baseball. And so I would pull on people I knew to come and be my assistant coaches,
sure.
because I could do that. I had friends like Jim Colburn, who before he became the pitching coach for the Dodgers, his career, he was a 21 game winner. He had pitched a no hitter. He was an all-star, in his major league career, but then became known as the best pitching coach in baseball. Well, he was in between gigs, and so I said, "You're my pitching coach for my little league team." So and then he calls me one day and he goes, "Dave, I'm sorry. I love doing this with you, but I just got offered to be the Dodgers pitching coach." I said, "What are you talking about?
I gotta hang on my little league hat. Go
Wait a
ahead.
minute, wait a minute. How can you do that? You mean you're going to leave these kids, for the Dodgers? What are you doing?" And so, but anyway, so he became the Dodgers pitching coach. And when I came back from the World Cup and I called Jim, I said, "Jim, you will not believe this thing that I did." And I explained it to him, and he goes, "Get down to Dodger Stadium right now. My pitchers need you." So I was at the time living in Camarillo, and it's about an hour down. I go down there, I do the game ready, and Jim Tracy was the manager of the Dodgers at the time, and he goes, "We need this for the whole
The
team."
whole team, right? Game
So it
ready.
just
I love it.
really
I love it.
sprung my call it spring in my career from
So that elevated not just the play of your
yeah,
clients, but your career. It really springboarded you.
yeah. And
That's cool. So you
and
got game ready too.
just a fun note too. So when we moved down to San Diego and we lived in Rancho Santa Fe. Again, now I have four boys. So every time, that was his brother's team. But so when we lived in Rancho Santa Fe, Trevor Hoffman had just retired.
Mm,
And David Wells had pitched a perfect game in Major League Baseball. He's one of the
sure.
perfect game winners. And so my assistant coaches for my Little League team were Trevor Hoffman and David Wells.
No, that's the dream team. Seriously?
Oh, seriously, I'm serious.
All right,
You know,
all right, all right. That's
because
pretty cool.
because you know what? When you've been through all that, you understand how we need to help our kids
Yes,
so
that
that
I was
they
so
get on
that
the
that,
right
that, that
framework, right
right,
path.
right. Giving back to the kids, right? That's what so much of
And,
this is
and,
about.
and, and it doesn't matter if they go on to play Major League Baseball or anything, as
Yeah,
long as they're having fun and
fun.
growing and learning and expanding their whole opportunity in life
Yeah,
to
because those skills that you learn, they're transferable, right?
exactly.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer of that. We're not teaching them how to play baseball. We're teaching them these life skills that are going to help them in school and with relationships and in jobs and their careers. So, speaking of parents and Little League, tell me, what's the one thing that parents often misunderstand about what their son or daughter is going through as a young ball player? What is it that we miss?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've seen is as parents, our own ego. And we're
Okay.
doing it more about our ego than we are doing it for our kid. Well, I see this all the time, and that's where it really messes up players. Is that I've seen dads, unfortunately, moms too, but more dads that it's more about them than it really is. They say it's about the kid, but it's really about their ego.
And what does that do to the young ball player? Because they sense that, right?
It just you have no understanding of what you're doing, and you're not even thinking about, wait a minute, what are the effects I'm having on this kid?
No, how does that affect? What does a young ball player feel when the dad is like just when it's about the dad and he's pushing his kid
They
or
feel terrible. They just feel like they're worthless. I mean, it's I've seen it happen,
the
and they
joy, everything just
yeah, they either find their way through it or they quit.
yeah.
It's a shame. It's a
Right.
shame. And I
So
mean,
so so the game, as you mentioned earlier, the game, like you said, I think at the outset, everybody feels pressure, everybody feels nerves. It's just normal, it's human nature. But then sometimes parents, we add to that, right? And some strong kids will push through that and some will quit.
exactly. It happens all the time. And then you've got, I don't know. You want me to tell you a personal story of how impactful this is at the little league level?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when one of my sons, in the time that I had Jim Colburn as my pitching coach, um,
That
you
window
know,
before he left for the Dodgers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh boy, did I give him a hard time, but it was a lot of fun. But anyway, I get selected to be a manager of a team, and we're going to have a draft. Well, I'm new to the town. I don't really know anybody. I don't know the whole politics of the Little League baseball in that town. It was in Camarillo. And but you have tryouts. So I go out there to take my notes on tryouts. And this one gentleman who was a coach, and he always considered himself Mr. Baseball. And everyone thought, he was kind of the authority. He had
Oh,
the
every little league has at least one of them, usually more, right? Yeah, I know what you're
and
talking
he
about.
was the coach for the travel team and all
Sure,
that.
sure.
And so I'd see a kid that looked pretty good. I'm going, wow, okay, I like that kid. And I overhear him tell somebody, yeah, don't pick him. He chokes. I'm like, ooh, I want him. So I just picked all the chokers. I did. I literally did. I didn't pick the guys that were supposedly all the stars because I knew that if I saw that they could play, then I knew how to work them through choking. I knew that.
You could help them here.
Right. So
Right.
I picked all. So then it comes the night of the draft. And all of a sudden, this Mr. Baseball gets wind of my background. And now it freaks him
Oh,
out. It freaks him out because he's Mr. Baseball, right? And so he called all the parents on his travel team. They're all the best players in Little League, all the best in that city, and said, do not let Dave Austin take your kid. Do not let him on the team. Now, they don't even know me. They don't know that it's just his ego.
but they knew Mr. Baseball because everyone in town knew him
Right.
because he was the guy who
So
sort of
yeah,
ran the little
and
league. Right.
so the night of the draft, the president of the Little League Association takes me outside and says, Dave, I can't have you manage. I said, why? Because none of the good players will play with you. And I said, well, that's interesting. And he goes, yeah, it's just, I'm sorry. And I said, well, wait a minute, I'm here. Who do you have? And he named all the best players. I said,
This was in the 80s, Dave?
no, this was
90s?
90s. Yeah.
90s. Yeah. This type of thing still happens all the
He
time,
listed all
unfortunately.
the players that wouldn't. I said, well, none of them are on my list. I'm not going to pick any of them. And he looked at me like, you can't compete. It won't be fair for these kids. They'll just get run over. I
Sure.
said, no, I have a different way of doing it. And you know what I do for a living, right? And he goes, yeah. I said, then you're going to have to trust me. He says, all right, but if I get one more call that they won't coach, I got to take you
This
out.
is the night of the draft. You're in the draft room.
Right, yeah. We go back into the draft room. I see him get a call on the phone before we're about ready to start. And I see him going, and the only guy that wasn't on the list was the Mr. I'm best kid in the league. And
Right.
and I wasn't going to pick him anyway. But now I lost him too. And he looked like he didn't know what to do, but it was too late. He was going to let me do it. And he was just like, and then I make my picks and he just goes, this, you can't even compete. I said, we'll compete. So this is a true story. It almost sounds like, but when you
It sounds like a Netflix show. Yeah.
so I know. So when you put the kids in the right, mode, we didn't just win every game. The 10-run rule, we 10-run rule everyone. I mean, that's how dramatic it can be.
You
And so
mentioned this
I
to me.
became the
You
most
mentioned this
hated coach.
briefly
I
when
mean, this is ridiculous. I became hated by all the other teams and that because and like
so
they
did you won the championship, obviously?
oh, I mean, easily. I mean,
Right. So
and
then what happened though? You because you did share some of this with me because then you did so well, right? With this group of I don't know, misfits is the wrong word, but a group of kids that nobody else really thought much of. You molded them, turned them into champions, because you could get them game ready.
right,
And
exactly.
right. So then you were penalized though, and your son was penalized, right?
Oh yeah, my son was 11, and they like to have mostly 12-year-olds, but he was the best second baseman in the league by far, and he had the highest batting average. But they didn't pick him because they didn't want me. This Mr. Baseball wanted to be the all-star coach, and he didn't want me anywhere close. So they,
So your son didn't get put on the All-Star team. You didn't get to manage or coach the All-Star team, obviously, because your son
well, he
wasn't on the
went to
team.
all the other coaches and said, they all complained that I never take the foot off the gas, but I didn't know how to take the foot off the gas. We were just having fun. We weren't trying to just destroy everyone. The kids were just having fun, and they happened to be talented kids that didn't know they were so talented.
So then you have
They
one
didn't
more.
know.
Your son had one more year of eligibility. Did you manage the team again? Did you take his team
Oh,
again?
he figured out now he knew who I was, and he made sure I didn't get a team.
Wow. Little league politics is real, isn't it? I mean,
Unbelievable. And the
yeah,
thing is that we had nothing but fun. And my guys went on to play high school, some went on to play college because now they were having fun and they believed in themselves and they were very talented. The only reasons they weren't showing that talent is because of the pressure and what people were saying. Kids listen to what people tell you.
yeah, true.
Also
They're
maybe
very
you didn't get a
impressionable.
hit. Maybe you went 0 for 6 after one time. All of a sudden you're known as a choker. And that's
What
ridiculous.
sticks, right? Yeah, they're right.
Yeah. And so they don't. I just opened the pathway for them to find out who they really were because remember when I was a kid, I played good under good coaching, I played bad under bad coaching. So I just opened the pathway. Like I found myself, I gave them an opportunity to find themselves.
Yeah, I love that. So politics, drama, daddy ball, it hasn't gone away. Everyone deals with it at some point. I certainly have my little league stories. Um, it affects the kids. Obviously, you gave an example. Worst case scenario, your elite athlete, your best second baseman in the league isn't making the All-Star team, but it affects the kids in other ways, right? The politics and the drama. What what advice would you give parents? Because most of these parents, they see what's happening, but they don't. they don't really know how to handle it because they don't want to make the situation worse. So, how does a parent, a little league parent, even a travel ball parent, how do they handle politics? What advice do you give them?
You know, I'm just still such a big believer in positive energy. Keep your kid positive. Keep, even when you see something's not right,
Right.
um, instead of screaming or yelling, try to do it in a mode of do the best you can, but that more importantly is keep your kid positive and let them know that you know what, some things are out of your control. It's too bad that this is like this, but man, it's like going back to the sophomore in college. Do you get to take grounders? Yeah. Do you get to take batting? Yeah. Well, then be the best in it,
Yeah,
even when
right.
you're not playing.
It's a tough lesson for you to learn, son, at 11 and 12 years old, politics. This isn't going to be the last time you have to deal with politics. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's a distraction. It's not something you need to focus on. It's not, it's out of your control. What I want you to focus on, what I want, to you to find your joy, let that go, take your ground balls, be the best second baseman you could be, no matter what they think about your dad or you. That doesn't matter, right? So you're saying put the blinders on, right? Love it.
And focus on what you want to expand. Going back to that, it's
Focus
funny
on what you want to
talking to
expand.
you.
That's a great line
I
for
just
parents to
saw
use.
that I got a call. I obviously didn't take it, but it's from a player who plays college baseball, who Mark Kotze had one of his good friends
Right.
in San Diego. His son is a college baseball player, and he's sitting on the bench right now.
Oh wow.
And Mark said, "Call me." So I've been working with this kid for about 3 weeks now. And he's been sitting on the bench, but he's the happiest baseball player ever. And I almost took the call to say, hey, guess what
Yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah.
talking about here?
Right.
Guess what we're talking about here?
Find
And
your joy. Find your
and
joy.
the coaches came to him and said, "What happened to you? You're more confident." He started the year their starting center fielder, and now he doesn't see the field. I had to do the exact same thing for him. He says, "I've never had this perspective. I'm having a ball." And when and he finally got put in the game just as a pinch runner. What did he do? He stole the base. I'm like, he's going to make the most of it, and we'll see. His coach says, "I think we're going to start playing you again."
That's awesome.
you
That's
know
great.
so but he changed his whole way of being. And
So
I have a player with the A's right now who was injured, and he was a star player 2.5 years ago, but he just lost it. This is before I started working with him. I started working with him before spring training, and I Mark goes, "Oh my gosh, he's the best athlete on the team." And we have him in AAA right now because management just doesn't like going, they just can't understand how he could all of a sudden be so good. So they're
right.
letting him prove himself in minor league, and we need him. And even Mark said, "We need him up here. We need him." I said, "He'll be ready for you."
That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to go back to the little league, go back to the 12-year-old for a minute here because these kids they're really hard on themselves.
Oh yeah,
And a lot of them are fantastic in the batting cage. We're spending a lot of time talking about hitting because hitting is so difficult and you feel so much pressure. But there's pressure, pitching, fielding, all of it. But they're fantastic in the cage, right? You see this a lot. And then they get in that tournament and they're 0 for 4. And they'll even at 10, 11, 12, they'll even express it in the car on the way home. Like, I was nervous up there today, Dad. I didn't have that feeling that I had last night in the cage. So what do you tell that young player?
it happens all the time. It's very normal. You can't be a competitive athlete and not feel pressure and nerves because it means something to you. But what you have to learn how to do, which is embrace the nerves. And when I played professional tennis, the problem I had was when I got nerves, I got pissed off. I got mad. And then I started trying and I couldn't play because I was too, frozen in the
Right,
fear, so to
right.
speak. And so what I learned how to do is then when the nerves hit, to go, "Oh, cool. Awesome. I got nerves." And then because I have them focused on the right things, it just amplifies what they're focused on. So nerves become great. Pressure becomes great. You start loving pressure. When I worked with,
Because you feel that feeling
yeah,
instead of saying, "Oh, I don't want to feel this," you're saying, "No, embrace it.
love it.
Know that you feel that way because you care, right?"
And it shifts to the nerves become your best friend rather than your biggest distractor. It's the biggest thing. And even at the major league level, it happens.
Your
When
nerves
I worked
become your
with Gary,
best friend rather than your biggest distractor. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So yeah, what I tell my son, is look, nerves are normal. When I get it right, I don't always get it right. Nerves are normal. It's normal. And I do say it. Remember, it means you care. And also remember this. Tell yourself when you're feeling those nerves, allow yourself to feel those nerves. It's normal. But then just quickly remind yourself, like, I'm ready. I got this. I'm prepared for this. I'm going to crush that ball if it's in the zone. That's what I tell him. Does that
well, that's good stuff because your subconscious mind is going to do whatever it's most familiar with. So in that pressure situation, if it's familiar with you not being able to control it, it's going to be there. But if you can start feeding your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or isn't real. So if you start feeding that I'm going to crush it, 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 all the subconscious mind goes, of course you are. So
Yeah.
instead of fighting you, it's going, of course, absolutely. And it's a game changer, complete game changer.
I love the point. I'd never heard this before though about when you feel those nerves, get excited about like, yeah, this is the feeling. This means I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I'm excited, right? That's great stuff. I love that. I'm gonna use that. And
But I think anybody listening to this should use it.
Absolutely.
This
So
stuff works at every level, at every level.
what do you see? I know you probably don't spend a whole lot of time around Little League's fields anymore, but you're familiar enough with the game, Little League, travel baseball. What's the one thing that parents do during a game that affects negatively affects a kid's performance?
Well, they yell out many times negative things. That's the last thing you want your son to hear. And this is the worst thing you can ever say. Don't strike out. Don't strike out. Because now you're putting emphasis on striking out.
Yeah.
I talked to Mark today, even though he
A
was,
lot of times you hear parents yell mechanics, even at, I was at a high school game recently with my son, a really good high school team, and there was a dad coaching his son a little bit from the backstop, right? And
it's all a distraction. He doesn't even know that he's absolutely making it harder for the guy to play rather than better. The less you think, the better you can play.
right.
Here's a prime example. Years ago, when I first started doing this, a player was taken, the very first person taken in the draft, first round, first person. He signed for the most money ever in the history of baseball. So it's just like amazing. And he was also at the time a quarterback. He went to Stanford. He had been the College World Series MVP, and he was going to Stanford. And he was also
This was one of your clients? I'm sorry.
yeah, and
Okay.
he was also the starting quarterback. But he was given so much money um, to play baseball because they didn't want to compete with you know NFL money. And he was his junior, and his that's why I'm not going to give you his name. His parents' house was in foreclosure, and he decided this is how I'm going to save my family. So he went out there, but I wasn't working with him. I had seen him play as he lived in my town. I'd seen him play as a youth. I've seen him play in high school,
Right.
and then he went on to Stanford, and he just kept just being great. But now all of a sudden this happens, and he goes out there, and they expected him to be maybe one of the best baseball players of all time. And I didn't get the call until when he called me, he was really struggling going between major leagues and minor leagues. He had always had so much success. And he first thing he said is, Dave, I don't want to be the biggest failure in the history of baseball.
Oh,
Feel
geez.
that pressure on you. How's that grab you? So I started working with him. It started coming along, but there was still something missing. So I went to an away game with him. We shared a suite. So I'm in one room, but we had a common ground here so that we could talk before games. But by being in the room, I realized something, and I want parents really to hear this. So after the game, he's on the phone with his dad. They're discussing every single freaking pitch, every pitch, and what he did or what he didn't do in that. All right, so I'm like, are you kidding me?
He was a
And
pitcher. He was a pitcher.
then his hitting coach, he had a private hitting coach, calls him.
Oh,
He does it again. It's just reinforcing the negative. They go through every pitch. Then he
so
gets
they're
a call
going through every at bat, not
every
just.
at bat, every pitch and every at bat. So that's two. Then his uncle calls him,
Oh,
and
geez.
he goes through it again.
And
Then
you were
his
the and you were in the
I'm
hotel room.
listening to this, and then the agent calls him. I'm going, no wonder he's having, can you imagine what that's like?
Just a
And
bundle of
what about
nerves,
all
right?
the distractions? I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And it opened my eyes to like, this is why he's struggling. Everyone's trying to fix him, rather than allowing him to play through and find that place. I had talking about a father behind the backstop also reminds me of a player I was working with in high school. And his dad would come and he'd get right behind when his son was up and he would come and put on his camera to make sure he had it right. But then he would stay there and chew on his fingernails. And the son tells me, like, I can't stand it. My dad is just chewing on his fingernails. Now think about that. He knows his dad's chewing on his fingernails.
Because he's
I mean,
nervous.
is that not a distraction?
Oh, and also, right, he's picking up that nervous energy from his dad. That's a
Oh,
huge he's a
absolutely.
huge distraction. He means well. He wants to get a video of his kid. He probably didn't even realize a lot of times how nervous he was and how anxious he was, and that he was
But
transferring that energy to his son. This is,
well, that's why I gave you the details of chewing your fingernails.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
His son was aware of it.
yeah,
And the fact
yeah.
his son saw that means that he was a complete total distraction. The
So
last
during
thing
during
is
during the game, you want to be positive. You want to cheer.
just let
Less
him go.
less
He's
is
playing.
more.
You
Right.
got
Don't
to
be a
trust.
distraction. Right.
Got to
A-
trust in the prep. You got to trust
after
in
the
the prep.
game, it sounds like it's on, especially the car ride home. It can be a problem for a lot of us parents. Um, After the game, it sounds like what you're saying is don't load these kids up. They don't need coaching. What they need is support, right? Encouragement. Find some wins, build on that. Don't focus on the negative. Then before the game, okay, especially some of these kids are playing in big tournaments, showcases, they're trying out for USA baseball. There's a lot of pressure in the days, weeks, hours, before the game. What do you tell them? What does the parent tell them during those moments?
So you're kind of getting into the game ready. So I said earlier, we have so many distractions, right? So many, and I've, I guess I've become, I don't know what you want to call it, an expert in feeling energy because I've done it for so much. And I know exactly what they're feeling because, and I'm not trying to tell parents are going to know exactly to the detail I do it because I've been doing it for almost 30 years. So I
Sure.
really understand how to speak to them in that moment. But the key is, for me, a game ready is, first of all, we come up with three things they're going to focus all on in the game. And that's it. Anything outside that's a distraction. So we start teaching them to be disciplined to where their mind goes. So it starts off, and many times I have them write it down on a sheet of paper. If you're watching a major league game, you see a guy pull out something out of his back pocket, he goes like this, puts it back in his pocket. He's just looked at his three intentions for the game. And so you've got to focus, right? So let's see the guys that I worked with today. I'll try to think of some, well, one that's really big for each player. It just becomes a big thing is trust. I've done the prep. I've done the work. Let it go. Trust in it. Trust in it. And just let it go. Now I'm playing a game because to be thinking about anything else is just a distraction.
So trust your
It's
train.
hard.
Trust your training is an intention. Let it go. Say, let it go. I use that a
That's
lot when I was a manager of Little League. Like, let it all go. Let it all
trust in
go.
your athletic ability.
Right.
When you're at the plate, the most important thing is seeing the ball and trusting your hands. I mean, if you think about anything else, I'm sorry, it's too hard. Bobby Wood Jr. told me he texted me one time, he says, this might be a dumb question, but am I trying too hard? I'm going, yeah, stop.
So see the ball.
Because trying makes you like you're trying to prove something. I
Right.
say one of the best ball players in baseball. Just why don't you just trust it and just be whatever it is? But when you're trying, that's a negative energy.
Right.
So stop trying. Be present. So
Got
many times another intention is be where your feet are. Be present at this moment. Say you struck out the last time. That's gone. And if you carry that to the plate or you carry it to the field, you're taking away opportunities for you to seize moments.
Yeah, absolutely. A big believer.
Um,
You got to flush that.
and then another one, then it would be that I
Trust your
love,
training. Trust your training.
love,
Be present. And what's it?
love the pressure. I mean, love
Love the pressure.
the battle. I know. I mean, it's funny. I mean, this is a big
Love
one.
the
Big
pressure. You're
one.
going. Yeah,
Let
this is
me-
what this is you feel this way because you're excited because you care about this because you love this. If you didn't
Right.
have these feelings, if you know, because you
So
didn't.
this is but one ball player. I got two stories of that. Years ago, I'm working with Eric Gagne, who
Yeah.
is in the Hall of Fame, for the Dodgers, the most consecutive saves in the history of baseball. I mean, he's so far ahead of anybody else. I just can't imagine anybody ever getting to where he got to. I don't know, what was it, 60 some saves in a row? And he tells me one time, I'm talking to the team about pressure, how to deal with pressure, kind of like what we're talking about. And he pulls me off to the side after the rest of the guys go on the field. And he goes, Hey, Dave, I don't feel pressure. You're the closer. You don't feel pressure. Like, all right. Well, what do you do? He goes, I love to suffer. I'm going, oh my gosh, that's great. If that's how you deal with it, the love of something. I always say enjoy the battle, but he took it to this place of I love to suffer. So it's like, oh my gosh, the pressure's on. Oh, how cool is this? And that's what got him through was
Yeah.
loving the suffering, I guess. It was so funny. I just like, hey, if this is working
Hey,
for you,
right.
you
That's one
know,
of your intentions. Go for it. So you
I
actually have them write them down and they put them in their back pocket.
Well, yeah, and now with phones, this is going back. Now with
yeah.
phones, all of them text it to me, so I know what
Intentions are their three
their
intentions.
intentions are, and then after the game, whenever it was, they then text me their wins because it's got to become
Three
it's
intentions,
got to
three
be
wins.
habits. 3 wins.
Sorry, you were saying what? It's got to be what?
It's got to be continuing. It's got to. We're creating a habit. I call these winning habits.
Um, Winning habits is sort of the theme, but that's the strategy, that's the vision, but the tactics you're asking them to utilize. One really sticks out here because we all can do it, right? And you don't start preparing for a game uh, when you get to the field, right? You're preparing ahead of time. You're writing down your intentions, or you're visualizing
All right, so
positive
you want to go through
outcomes.
that? All right, so first of all,
So am I getting in the game ready again? Is that what's happening here?
you're still going on with the game ready, which is so you write down the 3 intentions.
Right.
And that's why I say you write them down too, so you can put them in your back pocket or something. But nowadays with phones, I want to know if you wanted to see the history of how Bobby Witt Jr. won the batting title. I have it on my phone. Pretty incredible, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. Anyway, um, after you set your intentions, then what I have them do, this is really powerful. I can't tell you how powerful this is. I have them sit and think about all the things they're grateful for. Gratitude is a magical gift we have, like, well, I'm playing baseball, or, you know, whatever it is.
Right. I have my health,
My health. It can be that. I have
right.
my health. Um, I get to play in a game that I'm going to feel nerves. Be grateful for it. All of a sudden it starts shifting how you feel on the field. So I want them, my parents love me. Oh,
Right.
that's
Maybe my
cool.
parents are in town for this series, right? That's
Oh,
something you should give.
all right. So I'm sorry. I don't know if I should say this, but I don't think he'd matter. But so I had a player go for, I won't tell you who it is, but one of the best hitters of all. He won the batting title. I'll just say that. And anyway, he went 0 for 5, and I looked at the text. My parents were in town. I mean, instead of looking like my parents were in town and I sucked, it was like my parents were here. We just shift how you look at everything. And I probably should go back and see what they all were.
Game ready. First thing, set your intentions. Next thing, think about what you're grateful for, right? We have a lot
Right,
of gratitude is a gift that we sort of take for granted, right? Is that
right.
right?
So once you have that, if your eyes aren't already closed, I have them close their eyes.
Okay.
And when they close their eyes, then I have them see a gate. And then they come through the gate and they got to come to a place in nature. It can be a place they've been to before, can be a combination of places, or they and the creator can create it right now. So they come into this place and they're just in awe of the beauty that God's created, that they're in this place. Most of my players call it their happy place. It's kind of funny. I never called it that, but I get it all the time. I go to my happy place. And then they just feel that presence of awe of the beauty. It kind of takes all the stress away, and then they breathe in because nature loves to be appreciated. So through the nose, they go, and they start breathing in this positive energy and power. They start, and then it's just a matter of trusting that they're now tapping into something more powerful than they are, but they know they can use it fully. So they're just in this beautiful place where they're breathing in this gift of life so strong. So then they walk. Now they have a new strength
Now,
about them.
now this place, it could be it could like for my son, I imagine he would probably pick the beach, right? It's just wherever you feel.
It doesn't, yeah, wherever for me, when I do it, for me, there's a place in Hawaii that I totally love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
I go through this where the trees are all over and it's gorgeous. But when I come out, I've created in my mind even a better scenario of the perfect surf. I surf a lot. I used to surf a lot, and I love the surf. And then there's a waterfall over here. I mean, I really got it down, right? And and uh,
It's
and
a
so it's a combination of places that I go to, and it brings me such joy.
so then
Then
go ahead.
so then after that, then I come to the next gate and I go through there and there I'm on the field. I'm out there in warmups being the best player ever to play the game in warmups. You just have that feeling and you're having fun. You're seeing yourself be that, right? You see in batting practice or taking grounders or fly balls, you're just doing it. You remember what I talked about? What you focus on expands, what you feed will grow. Well, this
Yeah.
is what we're feeding. So then I take them into the game and they get into the game and they're seeing themselves. We first start, let's say they're about three hitters out. They're looking at the pitcher and seeing what this pitcher is doing, and they got their game plan on. They know exactly now what they're doing. Their focus has already started. Then they get in the hole. So the hole is just before you get into the on deck circle, and now there's no distraction. All they're doing is focused on the the window where that ball is released. So when they're focused on the release, they're seeing it, and it's actually slowing down the ball because they're seeing it so well. They're really dialed in and focused on that. Then when they get into the batter's box, not the batter's, I mean the on deck
Deck
circle,
circle.
they're already focused, and now they're just into the rhythm. And I call it sometimes like they're a fighter pilot that's in, and they got locked, radar locked. I got you freaking locked. And believe it or not, the pitcher sometimes they don't even know why they're starting to feel uncomfortable because this guy's got a lock. They don't know what's going on, but this guy. So when you then go to the plate, you take a deep breath because in the deep breath, it releases endorphins and all that. So it's a calming. So then you get into the batter's box, and now you just go in. Yeah, I call it your power. You get into your power position. So now all you do is trust my eyes, trust my hands, and allow my athletic. It doesn't matter. Allow all the work I've done to get my technique, whatever. You're not thinking technique. You're thinking trust my eyes, trust my hands, and the rest will
Trust.
take care of itself.
Trust. Yeah,
Right.
I've heard you hear the some coaches describe it like this. Don't let the thinker get in the way of the athlete, especially when you're in the batter's box, right? Be
Exactly.
be the athlete, not the thinker. So 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 they're doing all this starting with the
I'm
intention.
taking them through. I'm seeing it in their minds. I'm going, now you see, and they can see them square up and hit the ball, right? And then I add, like with Shea, why was he the best hitter in all of baseball since the All-Star break? because I also added one more thing is that even if there's two strikes, you are the best two-strike hitter in baseball. There's
Um,
no one better
um,
than you with two strikes. Well, the truth was he was not good with two strikes. He became the best in baseball with two strikes because we just kept feeding it, kept feeding it, kept feeding it, kept feeding it. So it was no like, oh, I got two strikes. It's like, I got you, man. I got this. I got this. And so that's you. So I have them see that. Then I have them see them playing their position, making the plays. And then the last thing I do while they're on the field is you just let whatever that day is. I go, all right, there's a runner on first and second. There's two outs. Go through the whole process and let me know when you're done. So in their minds, they see themselves looking at the pitcher, seeing what they want to do, being in the hole, staring down the ball, getting in the batter's box, and then come up and do whatever's in their mind that they see. And then they go, got it. They tell so because I'm not talking during that time, and then they can walk off that field knowing they gave it all. Whatever happened, they played full out. You can be proud of how you came, even with an 0 for 4. But you always stayed. There's wins in that. But my guys, I win batting titles. I'm just telling you
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So come back through the gate, come back to this place of peace and nature, and go. Oh, I love that I can come here. I can feel the pressure. I can take it on, and I always have this place to come to, be refreshed, be reborn. And then there's a creek that's running, and you go, and it's ice cold water. You drink from it. They're all that, and they just like, as you drink it, you feel so good. You just feel so good. So you walk in strength, you walk in knowing, you walk in trust, and you walk out through that gate. And it's always like, let's freaking go. Let's go. But there's a calm strength to it. There's a
Yeah.
power in it.
No,
And
this
it's
is
unbelievable how powerful this is. I'm known for it. I've made a career out of it, a very, very good career.
yeah,
But
yeah, no, I know. So the
even
Dave Austin game ready technique, and what you're saying though, when they're doing this visualization work, starting actually with writing down the intentions, when does a parent say to their son, did they do it the night before and the hours before? When's this supposed to happen?
every player, I don't like to do a cookie cutter thing. Every player is different.
Okay,
There are some players that love doing it the night before because then they sleep better, right?
right.
There's other players that like to do it in the morning,
Okay,
before they go to the field. I've
okay.
had players, in fact, I'll be giving one. Well, he's on Pacific Coast time. Their game time tonight at 6. I'll give it to him at 5. He's already gone in. He's already done his thing. Now he goes, in the locker room before the game, and then does the game ready. He just likes it last minute.
That's
Uh,
great. Yeah,
others,
everybody's different. But
others, when
with
they get to the ballpark, before they go take the field, before they do anything, that's when they do it. So I allow myself to kind of let them find where is the sweet spot for them. I had a football player. This is funny for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had worked with the defensive line, and they had great players. Cam Hayward, you name it. I don't even follow football, but I had cream of the crop. And this one player, and even last year with the University of Utah, I just remember I had a player like that. Oh, because I told him about the Pittsburgh Steelers player, and he goes, "Oh, I want that." So he's already on the field. He's got a headset on in warmups on the field. And this Pittsburgh Steelers player would go, and then it's like game's going to start like in 10 minutes. And I get a text going now.
wow.
Yeah. And
So so
I'd be
he
holding my
wanted
phone,
he
and I'm
wanted he wanted his focus that 10 minutes right boom that was when he was
exactly.
gonna when he wanted to
And,
lock in.
and this particular player was one that didn't like to talk a lot. And so most of the time I'll have for football, we'll have debriefings on, Monday, say the Sunday game, we'll have a debriefing somewhere like usually on
Yeah,
Monday. Yes, our deep, and he would never call me. He wouldn't take calls. It was just, and they pay me good money.
sure.
And finally, it's been 3 weeks I haven't talked to him, other than I've given him a game ready each week, on now,
Right,
and then it's
right.
just a click. Oh, he's gone now. Okay, never said, he texted me what his intentions were, but no, he doesn't speak. So after about 3 weeks, so I finally get him to answer the phone. I said, Cam, is this working for you? He goes, dude, are you not watching the games? I'm going, well, you are just absolutely a beast and tearing it up. So, okay, it's working for you. I'll just let it be.
I love that. That's a great story. Yeah. So take me though to the dad who's, I love everything you said, the game ready. It's fantastic. But a lot of us parents are dealing with kids who don't have the emotional maturity, intelligence yet. I mean, they're smart kids, but I know if I sat my son down and walked him through game ready, I'd probably lose his attention about, midpoint, right? Oh, come on, Dad, I'm not gonna, maybe I could get him. I think he would probably like the stuff in the hole, but he does understand the value of preparation and getting locked in, and he knows that when he does have a good game, he can often trace it back to I was prepared, I was ready, I had a good warm up, we weren't goofing around, but is it what's a can you synthesize, I mean, as a parent talking to a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old or 11-year-old or even a 14-year-old that might not have that emotional bandwidth to go through a full game ready exercise, what's the one or two things we can help them do or to help them get ready?
Well, you want to simplify everything in that. Just have them close their eyes and just breathe deep. And then just say, see yourself playing and having fun and doing well. Just boom. That's just a simplification. I always thought when I was,
I like that. So just calm yourself down. I hear his batting coach talk to him a lot about calm confidence, but calm yourself down, close your eyes, visualize yourself making a play, barreling the ball, hitting your spot as a pitcher. See that, take it in. That's
exactly, just simplify it, keep it simple. When I was coaching youth sports, I did, here I'm at, even when I was coaching my kids in Little League baseball, Little League football, Little League soccer, you name it, my kids were athletes. I coached them all. I mean, I would literally fly back east to a baseball game to be with a client and take an all-night flyer home so I wouldn't miss my son's game. It was crazy what I would do, but it
yeah.
was important, is what you do. But I always thought that to do these game readies. I wasn't doing game readies. I would get them in the right atmosphere. I'm their coach and all that, but I didn't think they could do the whole 9 yards in that. And then what happened is I spoke at a big conference, and this gal that was the person who took care of the speakers, and this is a big time event. She goes, I have a grandson that could really use you. Could you mind if can I hire you to work with my grandson? I said, well, how old is he? She says 8. I'm going, that's too young. But I thought, all right, yes, I'll do it. And he's ready. Now listen to this. He was wrestling and he's ready to wrestle in the world championship 12 and under, and he's 8. So I went, oh, I want to do it for her in that. So I gave him a game ready. He won the world championship.
Oh,
But the funny thing is that when I got done with the game ready, he goes, this is exactly what he did. He goes, I'm on the phone, and he's just going, wow, wow, wow. And I'm going, I've never had a client go, wow, wow, wow. I was wrong. Kids can do it. And
yeah.
so I
Yeah,
called,
that's a good point. That's a good
and
point.
so I called my brother right after that. I get off the phone, and my brother Doug
Yeah.
and Liam, his son, was playing in the soccer championship that day, and he was 8. And so I called Doug. I said, "Give me Liam. I didn't think this works for 8-year-olds. Give me Liam." So Liam came over. I did the game ready. I swear to you, he goes, "Wow, wow, wow." Now he was a good soccer player, but he wasn't one that scored goals. He scored 3 goals that game.
Holy moly.
Yeah. I'm going, oh, I've had it wrong. I've had it wrong. Kids can do it.
I love that. I love that. And the real separator, we hear this a lot, right? But I think what you've done is you really helped us understand it. The real separator, especially at the highest levels, my son hits at a hitting facility out here in El Cajon, and there's some of the kids who hit there now are in college, and they come back occasionally when they're in town, and the instructor out there lets them hit for free because they're alumni, right? But
Right.
there's this one kid in particular who I've gotten to know, and his dad's a really nice guy, and the son plays at UCSB now, or UC Irvine, and his dad was talking. He was right here one night. We are watching our boys hit, and he's like, at this level, and he was pointing to his son who's now at UC Irvine. He's like, at this level, they all can play, and they all can play really well. He's like, the separator is right here.
It is. I mean, I can't, that's why I have a job. That's why I get to do, I'm like a kid. It's awesome. I love it. I
Yeah,
mean, tonight, in a moment, I'm on my way to the stadium.
yeah,
I'm excited because
that's
I'm in
awesome.
the game, because I'm watching guys that I've gotten ready for the game.
Right,
And
right.
I know exactly. It's like the Super Bowl this year. I had so much fun at the Super Bowl because I did a Super Bowl game ready. It was actually, all as long as I've been doing this, it's the first time I gave a game ready for a
For a
Super
Super
Bowl
Bowl.
player. And it just made it so much more fun. And it was
That's
a very bad Super Bowl this year. I mean, it was like, it was, whatever. But still, the fact that I can watch a player and know what he's thinking and seeing if he's living into his intentions, it's just a thrill for me.
What's the one player that looked into the camera what did he say when you knew he was talking to you?
Seize the moment, baby.
Seize the moment.
Seize
I
the
love it.
moment.
I love it. So we covered a lot. I'm going to put in the show. I'll write up a companion piece to go with us with this video interview, and I'll put in there all of your contact information, your Instagram, your website. I'll get all that in there so folks can learn more and reach out. Um, anything?
Oh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. When you do that, be sure to put my webpage in because they did a docuseries on
Yeah,
my life. Did you ever watch the docuseries?
I've started to. Yeah, it's
It's
fascinating.
10 short episodes, but it's called Moonshots, making the impossible possible. Things aren't possible because no one's done it. So I just go do something. I don't care if it's impossible. I
Right.
do it and they go, "Oh, it's possible." And so it's a whole thing, like, how did I become a world ranked tennis player? I lost my way to winning. And how do you handle that to get to that point? I had a hit in the radio, big hit. And, how did you do that? Well, I was really bad until I was good. Just the simplicity of being willing to go through whatever it takes to get there.
Love
I've
it.
been in blockbuster movies. It's crazy, but it's crazy good because I learned how to face adversity and go, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it because I would love to do it. And even if I stumble, I'll learn from my stumble.
Right.
So
There's always a
the
takeaway.
the, um, the docuseries does that. It's called Moonshots, but it's on my webpage, extremefocus.com. Put it in there for people to see. And yeah,
I
and
will.
they
I
can
will.
they
I
can
will.
reach out to me. That's fine.
I will.
Um,
Extremefocus.com. Uh, the frustrated parent. You've talked about. You've given parents a lot of good advice and players. The frustrated parent um, who feels like, man, he's just struggling. I don't know how to help him. What do you tell that parent?
isn't it cool that you've got a kid out there trying? Do you love him? Isn't it awesome? Isn't love more powerful than anything or a struggle? Isn't love have the answer to everything? Remember to love and be grateful that, hey, this child I was in part of the creation.
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, he's got to do this, he's got to do that. And when you bring that, it takes a lot of pressure off the kid.
Yeah.
He knows that no matter what he does, he's still going to be loved. That's the thing. I have a best-selling book called Be a Beast, and I have a whole beast program. And one of the animals is a dog. Think about a dog. You go out and you play and you go 0 for 6 and you come home. Does that dog run from you?
No, it loves you no matter what.
Exactly. Dog comes, oh, you're home. Yay, yay, yay. And licks you and all that. And you're going, I don't deserve this. Yeah, BS. The dog doesn't care. Now, if you go 6 for 6, does it then stay, or it does the exact same thing. It didn't matter. It loves you anyway. And
That's
it's so happy to see you. So I'm going to tell every parent, go to that area and you'll be a happier camper and your kid will be a happier camper.
I love that. That's great advice, advice we can all use. I myself, I've been trying to get better at these moments. And, sometimes I have good days and sometimes not so good days. But I'll be thinking about, I want to tell you, Dave, I learned a lot. I'll be thinking about this conversation the next time I find myself in one of these moments. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom, sharing your knowledge. Good luck to you and everybody that you train with. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. You know what, though? I started the conversation. This is needed.